Welcome back. Let's run you through some of the dailies here today, and we'll start with Daily Trust. Insecurity. Tinubu governors small state police. That was the big news yesterday while they had that conversation with the president, the governors, and several other persons. But look at the writers here. You thought lots of people would agree with this, right? Think again. They want to kill Nigeria finally. XAIGF Inaligu. It's a dangerous move, says Professor Jibrin Ibrahim. President rules out food importation. And then orders NSA, IGP, DSS, DG to tackle hoarding. So it is the big one here today. So that's Daily Trust.
It will form a lot of our conversations here today, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's take a look at the Leadership newspaper this Friday. Tinubu governors up for state police. Everyone talking about state police. The structure that is needed for that state police to work is something that needs to be ironed out. And then, of course, the fears that many people have about state police and they being used by governors as personal mercenaries, so to speak. So that conversation coming up much later, but that is the major story there from the Leadership newspaper. More on it from page 4. Sets up committee on state police, forest rangers. President orders crackdown on food hoarders. Federal government rules out food importation to tackle hardship. More on that story, page 4 of the Leadership newspaper.
The Vanguard newspaper has the same story. Insecurity. Tinubu governors agree on state police. And the riders to work with governors, National Assembly to put mechanism to engender state police. President orders NSA, DSS, IGP to deal with foodstuff hoarders. Says no to food importation, to train forest rangers to man forests. Governors urged to pay salary arrears, gratuities. Reps task IG to implement community policing. Well, that story is on page 5 of the paper today.
Have a look at Blueprint. FG states more state police to secure over 230 million Nigerians. And you see that also leads here. Agree on tackling food hoarders. Tinubu vows to remove rent seekers, rules out price control, food importation.
And then the Guardian newspaper this morning, abandoned facilities dot landscape, retard sports potential growth. That's from the Guardian newspaper, the big story there. And of course, we're seeing the story about state police and, of course, hardships being faced by Nigerians. All of that and more, pages 4 and 5 of the Guardian this morning.
The Nigerian Observer has that same story as well, but the lead story of the Nigerian Observer this morning: Nigerians adjust lifestyles, reset priorities amid soaring prices. Hunger rises, malnutrition looms as households cut down on food. That's the lead story of the Nigerian Observer. Of course, I can't ignore that picture, Osimi and the Nigerian spirit, but hey, that's the Nigerian Observer's lead story today.
Well, have a look at ThisNigeria today. Insecurity, FG governors seal deal to establish state police. Fine-tune strategies for implementation. Kick against food importation to encourage local producers. Tinubu orders NSA, DSS, IGP to crack down on hoarders of food items. That's the big one on the front page here today. Okay, and then you also do have, if you go a little further, you get to see the New Telegraph. Just a minute, we'll come to you soon. But look at this on Forex. CBN holds cash payments for PTA, BTA. But a little further breakdown on insecurity. FG states more creation of forest rangers, state police. So all of that also highlighted on the front page of New Telegraph today.
The Daily Independent newspaper is also interesting this morning. It is also, of course, talking about that same issue of rising insecurity. Tinubu governors agree to consider state police. Brainstorm on ways to boost food production. President orders crackdown on hoarders of food items. FG to train forest rangers, vows no food importation. That's the lead story of the Daily Independent as well today. And if you check the flip to the Business Day newspaper, it's very interesting the way it's put. Big story says, Nigeria flirts with worst social crisis since 1999. That story is also right there on the front page of the paper this morning. You also have on the front page of Daily Times, fuel crisis looms as tanker owners set to stop lifting petrol Monday. You want to find out why? That story you'll find details of on page 4 of the paper this morning. Let me take one pick, one pick from some of the dailies this morning, 1 or 2 picks. But how about the Guardian newspaper? The front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning is talking about something that is a little troubling, and that will be my first take. Seeing how sports, football in particular, brought us all together, pulled us all together in the past few weeks. The troubling headline on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning, on sporting behavior. Abandoned facilities dot landscape, retard sports potential growth. The details of that you'll find on pages 4 and 5. From what I understand, the years where there was the build up to, was it 1986 or 1987, where the first under-17 World Cup, under-17 FIFA World Cup took place. You know, it was a fully homegrown team. They were all under-17. The Undukawagba of this world and the rest of them. They were all under-17, and guess what? They were all homegrown in some sporting facility in this country, Nigeria, and it wasn't even in Lagos, to the best of my knowledge. Now, the potential is what the Guardian is talking about this morning, in my opinion. Of course, details of the story you'll find on pages 4 and 5 this morning. But to find that we have abandoned facilities all through the nation. The National Stadium in Lagos in particular is one that is rather troubling. Of course, Lagos State government is doing its own bit to take care of its own facilities, Teslim Balogun Stadium, and then there's another one on the Onikon Stadium. They're also there. But say, what is the federal government doing with its own facilities? What are the states doing as well? I remember there's one facility in Akwa Ibom. We were asking Mr. Peter Side the other day the capacity of 1 or 2 of our facilities, and they aren't really that big. But shouldn't we be able to take care of what we have? We know the potential of sports to provide employment, to give focus to youth so that they are not as restive as they normally would be, to give them a sense of being. We know there's potential in sports. Can we milk this? Dear Sports Minister, I want to believe that you are well aware of this. That's my take from the front page of The Guardian this morning. Kayla.
Indeed, that particular headline, of course, calling to mind the importance of sports facilities and what they do for the young people of this country. Getting up in the morning, knowing that there is a stadium somewhere where you can go and play football, not just some makeshift facility, but, one that actually is functional. Very important sports when it comes to youth development in our country. And that is one area, of course, very true, that needs to be addressed. It has to be looked at. That headline there from the Guardian newspaper, of course, very troubling. But of course, everyone is looking at the major headlines. What stands out for me, really, and of course, it has been standing out to news people since yesterday, that meeting that President Bola Tinubu had with the governors and conversation about state police. We also saw that in other programs here on Channels Television yesterday, talking about the modalities for its functionality. How do they get paid? How do we ensure that they don't become the stooges of governors? How do we make sure that the police, state police, everyone has talked about, the benefit of it. In fact, we're seeing, sort of like a move by many governors, sometimes in clusters, like in regions, coming together to form some sort of security force. There's the argument for it, but the argument against it is one that many Nigerians are very particular about. But of course, the conversation about state police, and my headline today that stands out is from leadership: insecurity. Tinubu governors opting for state police. That stands out for me this morning from the headlines. Chamberlain.
Well, don't be in a hurry. That's what we're going to be discussing this morning. So we'll get perspectives from lawyers. We'll look at the legal perspective. We'll look at the question of abuse. How will it fly? So all of these things, they'll talk to us. So let's keep our gunpowder dry on that one. Well, I think it's already, the host might have left the stable right now.
Well, yeah.
From what you said. But one interesting area too, guys, is about food security. Yes, the president did say that, look, no importation. I think a lot of people wanted to hear such because they needed to ensure that they grow the local market, food production capacity here needs to be at least improved upon in several ways, in more ways than one, as they say. But it's a huge thing because if you look through some of the dailies this morning, different areas talking about, in fact, one of the dailies highlighted how a vehicle knocked down a certain 36-year-old in one of the markets in the FCT who was trying to escape with a woman's foodstuff. He was pretending to help her and then wanted to run away with it, and so that happened. So that's how dire it is at the moment. So market women who are also trying to eke out a living, not even sure now. So it's something that they really need to address. Off-takers, storage, all of those are in the mix. And I'm not even going to go to power sector. That's a different kettle of fish entirely. You could imagine if we have that working, the kinds of challenges and solutions that would bring to us. What are states even doing about it? The bill has been signed into law now. What are states doing in that area? Agric and power. States need to be stand up and be counted because many of them, can any one of you out there remember or tell us, did you see your governor? Did you get any impact whatsoever about the palliatives, the 2 billion? Is it 2 trillion now?
In fact, the word palliative has become a trigger for many Nigerians because it's almost ethereal in a way. It's something that they hear about but have never seen.
Yeah, but the monies that have been given to the governors, what has happened to it? That's important. So that's it, though. It wraps up a look at some of the dailies here this morning. We'll be back and talk about this debate, this question, this discussion that the president held with the governors yesterday. Stay on with us.